welcome back again to Women's World Show, Social Distancing Edition. I love this part I'm about to say. Here we use the breakthrough moment and word of a successful woman to inspire and motivate you. We measure success not by the amount of money in the pocket, but by the effort one makes on daily basics to achieve their goal. We believe that every woman has a story, so share yours with us. And my name is Clara Kronberg. Joining me today is a Danish doctor that works around in Scandinavia. He has his clinics in Sweden. He'll be giving us insights on the situation of coronavirus around and using his own opinion to evaluate how far we have come and the outcome of things in a very positive way. It's going to be a very informative section, inspiring as always, and at the same time very elevating. So sit back and enjoy. Let's welcome our guest, Dr. Hans Wittrup. Welcome to the show, Dr. Hans. How are you doing?
I'm doing fine. Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
Yes, thank you for coming. And I'm going to just hit straight to it. But first of all, last week or a couple of days ago, Denmark announced that the children from 0 to 5 years will go back to school. What do you think about this? What's your opinion about that?
I think that there is huge pressure on the government from all the small businesses that are suffering tremendously, and from the organization supporting them to helping them getting back to sort of normal operations. And obviously the restaurants and everything are not going back to normal operations, but it is going to help people that they can now send their smaller kids to school and to kindergarten. So I think, it's like so many other things in this world, is a compromise, and whether it's the right solution or not the right solution is kind of difficult to say.
Well, don't you think that this might escalate the ratio or the spreading ratio? Because if the kid goes out and maybe gets it, I know there will be a lot of precautions in place, but at the same time, I think there are risks that they might contact it and then go back home to their parents. So
But you're exactly right. I mean, there's definitely this risk, and I think one of the things that people are seeming to forget is that you have this huge dark number, which is the number of people who actually uh, have the virus, and but it's not been recognized that that's the reason they were sick. Maybe they weren't severely sick, they were just a little sick, like a normal cold, but they actually had the coronavirus. So you can call it an experiment. I think it's not so nice maybe to call it that, but it seems like everything that's going on in the whole world is a little bit of an experiment, because some countries are choosing not to have severe precautions, fewer and fewer of those countries, and some have gone the Danish way. And I think, like I said, it is a compromise, because you don't want to ruin the economy completely.
yes, I think that's also the question, maybe the concern here, the economy. But at the same time, earlier before now, Sweden, where your clinics are, they weren't really, the precaution, or rather the restriction wasn't really as strong as it was in other, or as it is in other Europe countries. What do you think about that? And the number of affected people are not really on the high rise as to people that are already on the quarantine, to compare with Spain. We have here in Spain, where I am, we have the high rise of number of affected people, even though we are all quarantined.
Exactly. But to continue a little bit along the lines of, the number that have been tested positive, the number who have been sick, but we do not know because they haven't been tested.
Exactly.
And this is really the problem. A lot of people, even, on in many medias, are very focused on looking at the number of people who have been tested positive. but it really doesn't say anything at all. What you should be looking at is you should be looking at the people who are admitted to ICUs, intensive care units, the amount of people that goes into respirators, and then you should in particular be looking at the number of people that dies.
Right.
And when you look at this, I have, even though, I am Danish, but my work is in Sweden. I've been highly critical of the Swedish attitude from the very beginning. I'm of course also very diplomatic, so I don't voice my opinion too publicly because I am Danish. But when you look at the death rate, number of deaths per million, it's looked very similarly in Denmark and Sweden until about the 27th of March. But
Yeah.
since then, the Swedish death rate, number of deaths per million, has definitely shot up compared to the Danish. So, you can claim that that is evidence of the more strict attitude in Denmark and the more lenient attitude in Sweden. Right now, the Swedes have cracked down and they have made more tight measures over the last couple of weeks.
Right, right. Because I actually interviewed somebody who had have had coronavirus, and she wasn't tested, but the people that she traveled for ski holiday were all tested positive. So that means she's actually not counted in the number of people that tested positive. She also mentioned that one of her friends that went for this ski holiday had no symptom but tested positive. So that means me that is sitting here might actually have it without even knowing that I have it. Depending on how my system is. Yes. What's your opinion about that?
This is the scary and uncomfortable thing about just corona. It's highly contagious, it seems like, and you cannot point to any particular group and say, it only hits this group. For example, the very elderly and very sick. It does primarily hit the elderly and the sick more easily, but there are many, many, many people who are down in their 20s and 30s who have been severely hit and have been in respirators. So it doesn't seem like it's following a particular pattern of only hitting the elderly and the sick. Um, so that's what makes it a little scary, I think, to most people.
So I know that you are in Scandinavia and of course Europe, but I'm going to bring this a little bit comparing to Africa, because there is this particular video that was going around, that was going viral, about some doctors saying that it would be nice to test coronavirus in Africa because they don't take care of themselves well. What's your opinion about that? I know you haven't seen it. Yes, yes. Okay.
Where that was voiced, but as a researcher, I've done research previously in my life in genetics, and I don't uh, I don't really see the logic in this argument.
Who
The
to
argument
test
is
it on?
much better. Excuse me.
Who to test it on? Does it have to be? It has to be this certain person or people.
No, I mean, the only thing that, I mean, if you want to know something particular about the way that the virus spreads and the various strands, the various types of virus, it's much more logic to do what is also being done. Look at smaller populations like the population of Faroe Islands or the population of Iceland, where studies are being done to look at, is it actually the same type of virus that everybody has, or is it different strands, some that are more aggressive than others? And I don't think that there's any conclusive evidence on that.
And okay, to ask you my last question, which is, how close do you think we are to getting vaccine for coronavirus?
And I think that's the $1 million question, everybody would like to answer. I think what's important to understand for everybody who is, following this on a daily basis and maybe feeling anxious about it, and whatnot, is that it's important to listen to the healthcare authorities in the country that you are residing in, and trying to follow the rules and regulations that they put up. They may be right, they may be wrong, but those are the rules and regulations at present time. So that's number one. And when it comes to the vaccine, I know from my research days that the researchers are working day and night to find the vaccine. But with all the testing procedures and everything, I would think that we should feel lucky if we have a vaccine before Christmas. But
Right.
it
Oh, great. What do you think we are overlooking anything while we are social distancing? Do you think there's something that we have to focus on while we are inside our different homes?
I think I think the biggest problem is mental health. The virus, you get infected, you get either mildly sick or you get severely sick and have to go to the hospital. But I think the effect, and we certainly see that in our clinics, where we've started calling up all 70-year plus patients, and we find that many of them, maybe living alone and already feeling a little lonely, are also more anxious and needing social contact. So I think what we can do, everybody, is to reach out to both family and friends and make sure that you stay in close contact, and thereby also you grow your own social contacts and the need for social contact, which I think is a basic human thing.
It is, although I fear how we are going to continue with that after this social distancing, because I think people might be a little bit like, oh, don't really come close, Hello, but don't come so close. So stay there. Anyway, I hope we, quickly get back to being human again and, connect with each other and have fun. I really miss those days, but I'm sure there is hope and I have hope. And being human, how are you and your family doing?
Fine. We're looking forward to celebrating Easter. If you are a Christian, you believe that
Yes, of course.
that's an important event.
Yeah.
So we're looking forward to that.
Oh,
Absolutely.
great,
Being
absolutely.
together.
Yes, it's very important, and it's unfortunate we are kind of robbed of it. But this we can also do with our immediate or immediate families. So that is good. Thank you for you sharing your expertise with us here in Women's Watch Show, and talk to you some other time soon. Very, very informative. You must agree with me on that. Remember, stay home, stay safe, and save a life. It might even be your own life. I will see you on the next episode on Women's Watch Show Social Distancing Edition. Thank you for clicking on Women's Watch Show YouTube channel. Please remember to subscribe for more interesting videos like this. Remember, some of the videos might even make you laugh and some might make you cry. But of course, you get inspired, motivated, and more even elevated. See you on the next video on Women's Watch Show.